Hey, you all. So, one of the most significant challenges that I come across when it comes to getting healthy is in the area of eating and nutrition, the things we chew, put in our body, and drink. And when we think about the physical activity, of course, sometimes this is a challenge for individuals, but more in the sense of actually seeing what is capable as far as the schedule. I found that that's one of the components that seems to be the most significant challenge. Um, Most individuals, after they move or they have a positive correlation between movement and fitness. So that typically isn't the most significant. Even if you're inconsistent or you don't exercise now, the concept of exercising and the benefits that it gets has doesn't have as much of a negative, I guess, perspective as it does when it comes to changing certain eating habits or changing eating the way that we're used to. Now, typically there's a pattern that's connected to a memory and emotion, something that we relate to and correlate to being a positive, a sense of comfort. And this is evident when I speak to an individual initially about the types of foods that they eat. I'll often get someone to explain or explain to me that, good stuff, the stuff that is good, the good food. And they're relating to things that are actually detrimental to their health. And so we see that there's a perspective that's there that is the issue. It's not the plan. It's not the ability to purchase the food, even though sometimes individuals say it is. It oftentimes comes down to priority. Why? Because you might spend money on going out to eat. You might spend $50 to go out to eat, but won't spend that same $50 per week to invest in your health. And so it really comes down to perspective. And so the nutrition I found is something that is the most significant challenge or hindrance to getting healthy. And what I want to present to you today, or maybe remind you of if you've heard something along these lines before, is that don't deal with or focus on the plan. Don't focus on the diet plan. I've spoken with many individuals, even someone recently, and just really were stressing themselves out and stemming over um, really being so fanatic about macros and calories and what they were doing to the point to where the intensity was they were bringing stress upon themselves, anxiety upon themselves, even before they stepped out. And so it comes down to your perspective about it. And I thought about this um, after doing a fast, or maybe not eating for a period of time. I've spoke before about retraining your taste buds, and how if you allow yourself or give yourself a break from eating for an extended period of time, or a period of time that's longer than you're used to, and how you can use that to retrain what you eat. But in this context, I was thinking about this in relation to nutrition, and how when we give ourselves a chance, or even are open to the perspective of changing the perspectives that we have about food, that's where the results start. It starts there. It starts examining what is at the root. And this takes intention, it takes effort, because we're on autopilot oftentimes. I have one individual that I'm working with now, and it's this battle between trying to have just a little bit of something. And the reason why the person wants to fit in a little bit of these different types of foods and manage it versus coming to the conclusion that they're not beneficial to them is because of this anxiety, this connection that they have with this food, and their belief about the good that that food brings to their life, which it hasn't brought any. Even to the point to where there's um, e- this extreme shift in the body weight, up and down, up and down, and now there's a detrimental effect not just on their organs, but it's a detrimental effect on them psychologically, and it's a detrimental effect on them physically as far as movement. And so you all, this is where it starts. It doesn't start from the outside, but it starts from the inside. And so, for those of you that are still looking to change, and even for those of you that might eat healthy now, I mean, understand that life changes, challenges come up, and you're going to be challenged or have a need to be flexible to shift. And so, this really applies all the way across the board to everyone. Be open to examining why you're doing what you're doing. You're not going to be able to change the things that you eat unless you see them for what they really are. You have to see them not just as far as their nutrient breakdown or the lack thereof. In that aspect, you'll be able to see and understand why you have a lot of the negative effects, physical and health effects you have in your body. But you, even after seeing that, oftentimes, individuals that are, significantly sick, like on their deathbed, oftentimes find it hard to stop doing the thing that got them there because of this belief and fear that they can't live without it. And so challenge that first, you all. If you're going to spend your energy somewhere, spend your energy starting there, because it has nothing to do with the plan or finding out what the macros are. And even though knowledge is important, and I've found that to be somewhat of a motivator, when we see things for what they are, then we can really make a decision only when there isn't a stronger drawing emotionally. But oftentimes the habits are emotional. And so really challenge yourself to see it differently. The first step is going to be being honest that there's an issue. You can't try to manage the food and say, oh yeah, I know I eat too much, I'm just going to have a little bit. Or I drink too much, I'm just going to have a little bit. First, it starts with honesty, okay? And that honesty could start with finding out information about it, okay? What does alcohol actually do to the brain? How does it hate on your other body parts? You know what I mean? How does it hate? How does it block your other body parts from performing their functions? How does it block your nutrient from being absorbed? What does it do in the increments or the amounts that you have? What does it actually do? Find out the truth about that. Have a point of reality, and that's going to be the first point. Next, you want to make sure that you're taking time to really ask yourself, well, why am I eating it? So you can think back as to, well, what started this and what stemmed it, and then that's the area that you address it. So first, it's going to be acknowledging it, being truthful about it. It's an issue. Next is, okay, taking some time to ask yourself some probing questions so that you can remember where it started. And then 3, it's going to be the plan to address that. Not the meal plan, not getting another trainer. Some people are just, they're serial clients. You get a trainer here, and I had a trainer this year, and just keep going back through the same thing. You're going to use energy, you might as well put it to the place it's going to be. Or just decide that you're going to accept being unhealthy and negatively impact your family in that manner. But most individuals don't want to stay there. So you all, don't waste time on the plan. Don't waste time on the outside. How many sets, how many reps, how many macros. No. Be honest with yourself about where you're at, what you've done in the past, and then from there, start to address the root issue. Okay? All right, you all. I hope that was helpful. I'll talk to you all soon. You have a blessed day.